bands and them big buildings, that's big business. Hit town, but that's big pimpin'. My potential, that's infinite. Pin game insane, make hits like King Griffin, a 10th inning.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 19 of the 10th Inning Podcast. I'm Sean. He's Dan. That is a cacti.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Beautiful, beautiful plant.
Of course.
And before Dan speaks here, this past week, January 26th.
Oh, I get it.
January 26th. This past week was a very important day. Not only was it the 2-year anniversary of Kobe Bryant's tragic death, it was the 23rd birthday of Daniel Vario. It is officially his Jordan year. Hell, he's had enough Jordan flu games to last him a lifetime. Might as well have a year of Jordan. So how you doing, Dan? How does it feel to be Jordan year?
You know, Sean, it's funny you mention it. Me and Jordan were within a couple 100 feet today.
Really?
We were. Me and Michael, we were in the same building.
Wow.
They were honoring the 1986 team for UNC today. I worked this morning. We played NC State, just blew them out of the water. I was in a nice navy blue suit jacket. I had khakis on. It was more of like a business cash. But Jordan, I'm sure he saw me and felt some type of way. He didn't acknowledge me, but he was there and I was there. And then, you know, we put up 100 spot. We put up 100 spot today on NC State.
Wow. Now, is this blazer jacket, is this given to you as part of your uniform, or do you wear this?
No, you got to dress up. You got to stockpile your own stuff. On my birthday, I also worked on the 26th. We went pink blazer on it. We did.
Michael Jordan might sign you up to work for the Charlotte Hornets before you know it.
Listen, I wouldn't mind it. Mike, if
LaMelo
you're listening, and I know you're out there listening, Mike, great seeing you today. Any job offers you send right through.
And he wasn't crying, no tears are coming from his face.
No, he seemed to be happy. We put up 56, I believe, in the first half, which was pretty it was pretty nuts. We were hitting everything. Caleb Love doing his thing yet again.
Love to hear that. Well, as far as this episode goes, we said last week this is going to be our top 10 list of first basemen. We also have a very big surprise coming for you.
It's
yeah, you know what I'm saying. Some point in this episode, we're not going to tell you what it is. When it happens, you will know when it happens. But yeah, first base, a little bit more of a loaded position than the catching position last week. I am chomping at the bit to get into this. How about you, Dan?
I am actually shocked, Sean, at, I don't want to say loaded, but how many good offensive bats there were. Maybe because we just came off catcher and you were kind of scraping barrel. I thought in my mind, I was like, damn, I mean, first base sucks so bad. That's been my whole thing. Catchers are going to be better. And I still don't believe that. But, I mean, it was tough to get 10. There was some good players at 10. Really.
Dare we say first base position's underrated?
A little bit. That's why you got to do your research. Yeah, you can't speak without doing your research. And there we were. There really I was speaking.
We all did. Do you want to start out, or you want me to start out?
You're more than welcome to start out. I'm gonna get out my just miss guys before the top 10 this time. I'm doing it a little different. Because first off, I had to do so many just miss guys because I had to evaluate almost 20 first basemen just to be able to figure out who the top 10 are. Because if you evaluate 10 then rank those, you got what you got. But through the evaluations, people get shuffled. All of a sudden, you're 18 deep. What are you supposed to do with yourself? Yeah. I feel bad. So I want to at least give these people a shouty. But that's up to you. What do you think is best?
You know, well, how about you give your shout outs first?
Okay, I'll give some shout outs. First shout out is just gonna go out to G-Man Choi. Wasn't rated, but let's just take a look at how beautiful.
I mean, you can't not love that man.
You can't. This was in the World Series, by the way, and I didn't mind it. Fantastic job by him. Another shout out I'm gonna give is Reese Hoskins. Forgot to rank him. He could even make Sean's top 10. I'm sorry, Reese. I don't think you would have made my top 10, to be quite frank with you. However, you certainly would have been a just missed, and I did not evaluate you. So I apologize to you and yours. Getting into who I did take a look at. Ryan Mountcastle, 18. 18 out of 18. I did do the slash lines for all these people. You'll see that in the description. I'm not going to go through everyone. I'm going to go quick. Jared Walsh, man, I think this guy is. I'm not on the hype train, guys. I'm not. I think he's a little bit overrated. I could not get on the hype train. He had a good couple months, decent little season, but it's just not for me. Frankie Schwinz. Okay, we need to see a little bit more out of him. A little bit more out of Frankie Schwinz. Number 16 overall from who I ranked. I think the stat line might be surprising to you. Watch out for Frankie Schwinz, though. He could really skyrocket through. Riz, the defensive leadership really made him at 15. If it wasn't defensive leadership, like his fantasy ranking is probably 18. I'd rather Frankie in a fantasy league. Now we get to you get the top tier, the really just missed. And we have 12th overall for fantasy, but 14 in regular due to some defensive. He's not great defense, but we're talking about the GOAT. So we're talking about Trey Mancini.
Trey Mancini.
It hurts me to put him there. Take a look at the stat line, slash line when I put it down. I do think he's definitely someone you could target as a backup first baseman. Or if a stretch, you need him for starting first baseman in fantasy. Like I said, if it's a 12-team league, I think he's a starter at first base.
Yeah.
Talking real life 14. Real life 13, we got Yuli Gurriel. Obviously, there's issues with defense. Leadership is tough with him because it does seem like he's a big guy in the clubhouse. They all rally behind him. But at the end of the day, didn't appreciate what happened a couple of years ago with the whole. I don't think that's a leadership.
Yeah,
quality.
Yu Darvish thing. Yeah.
I mean, take a look here. I don't think that's a leadership quality.
No.
So, but the guys do rally around him, and you can't judge a man off one thing. So at the end of the day, it's very difficult. But his defense is obviously down. He's like 38 years old. But I mean, the man, he does hit. He's going to hit over 290 pretty much every year, which is insane. Just doesn't have the pop. Where are we at? Number 12 in real life. We got Ty France. Been underrating this guy. Recent acquisition by Leaf this offseason. 13th for fantasy though. I still rather have Trey. He's like a little bit better of a Yuli. He's a little younger. He's a tad more pop. The average is going to be around 290. The OBP is going to be around 360. And then we get to the last just missed. And this guy was close. 10 and 11 are close. I'd rather have this guy in fantasy. He's a top 10 in fantasy for me. But in real life, he is number 11, basically based off leadership. 10 and 11, all shit defense, similar offensive production. It's just the leadership that puts 10 at 10 and 11 at 11. And 11 is CJ Crone. If I read you my 10 and 11 slash line, CJ is 27 homers, 270 average, 362 on base. And number 10, who we'll get into in a minute, is 28 homers, 270 average, 345 on base. So we're talking almost mirror images, but we'll talk about number 10 later. Those are my shout outs. I hope I did that quick enough, guys.
You did a great job. I had just a handful. I G-Man Choi look at him. Great guy. Reese Hoskins as well made my just miss list. I
feel better about that then.
Yeah, and also just missing out was I wrote him down. I can't. I did this on my phone, on the notes app on the phone, and I accidentally deleted my just missing out. Trey Mancini. There we go. Trey Mancini.
We're not going to talk about unless he's top 10 for you, which I will.
Trey Mancini. I think my number 10 that I'm about to tell you is going to just absolutely make you want to throw up. But I always had a soft spot for this guy, and he's had a couple down-ish seasons. Injuries have played a part. And I think he's still got a lot in the tank. He's definitely a leader, and he's younger than I thought. Anthony Rizzo, number 10. Number 10. I knew you wouldn't like it.
I didn't think Leif was making another fucking episode here. Is he holding a gun to your head, Sean? Honestly, no, because Leif would not tell you to say that. Leif is a real Yankee fan, and he knows that is garbage, Sean. Garbage.
Anthony Rizzo. as he's a good defender. You know, he's not as good as he used to be, but let me remind you, he's only 31 years old. He's a great clubhouse leader. Every player that's played with him has loved him. He's been mic'd up for games. Very articulate guy. And, you know, so he has that whole leadership, other aspects wrapped in a bow right there. He's pretty good with that. Skills-wise, yes, I would admit he's struggled the past couple of years. I mean, last year between Chicago and the Yankees, finished with an average of 248, not great. 61 RBIs, 22 home runs. Those numbers probably would have been a little bit lower had he not played his last half of the season in Yankee Stadium as a lefty. But in 2020, it was a throw that away. That was 60 games. But even before then, the years before, he didn't have below 90 RBIs in the prior 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons. I know that was a younger version, less injuries and all that. But I am, I guess, banking on him rebounding in a good situation with the team. Now he's a free agent. I don't know if he's going to re-sign with the Yankees. They kind of got a stockpile of first baseman. They love having 20 of one position, as Dan has said many times on this podcast. I probably just have a soft spot for Anthony Rizzo, but I think he's the 10th best first baseman in all of baseball. So have at it.
As much as I really don't like what you said there, the couple of things, you know, again, this is why we have variance. People weight different things different ways. I mean, he's top 4 easy, and for defense and leadership for me, he got a grade of 2. And as you guys know, 1 is the highest you can get. Phenomenal. He's like top 3 as far as defense and leadership. You're not going to find a better clubhouse guy, a better leader. We've spoken about it before, how much I think that plays into how good a player can be. And I do think that helps in a decline as well, how much you love the sport and how much of a leader you are. So I agree with you on those points. Defensively, you want him out there in real life. But even if you throw out 2020, I feel like maybe I'm just looking at the advanced metrics too much, but the stats show that he is I think the decline is real. Do I think he can muster something up? Maybe. Like if I'm a GM and I'm not the Yankees, do I want him on my team? He might be one of the 10 people playing first base that I want on my team.
Yeah.
And I want on my team. Production-wise, it's not there for me. He can't start on a championship team if you're me. So there is a little bit of divide there, but I'm trying to get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying.
I appreciate that.
But I think that the production is just so far gone that it couldn't bring me back. It could not bring me back to top 10.
If you think 10's bad for you, it's about to get a lot better. I got some curveballs in here for you that guys I value very highly, and guys who I think maybe you don't agree with. Although maybe I'll be wrong. I could be wrong. Just saying. Stay tuned.
Guys, we're 1 pick in, and we already won't have the same list. Isn't that beautiful? That's the 10th inning pod. So my number 10, I already read his slash line before, and I said leadership was the only reason that he beat out C.J. Cron. By the way, C.J. Cron, shocking to me that he really was a just miss of the top 10. I've never thought about him highly. Digging into the numbers, he really did deserve it, especially playing in Coors, and he's going to play there again. So it's like you can't say he's going to get worse because the effect is the effect. We got Jose Abreu, coming in at number 10. Might be low for some people.
Oh, wow. Our lists are going to be very different. Wow. Oh, my goodness. All right. Explain yourself. Well, I'll let you speak. Wow.
Honestly, again, if it wasn't for his leadership, I think C.J. Cron would have beat him out. He would have been a just miss. He did win MVP 2 years ago, but it wasn't a short season. If we're throwing it out, we're throwing it out. But listen, he hit the ball in 2020. Let's make no mistake. You can't do that by accident. He certainly deserved the MVP, but he has been very stable throughout his whole career. Been almost the same production every season. Probably the most consistent player in MLB offensively. We've discussed before that sometimes I rank that lower. I like potential over consistency. It could be an issue of mine. Could be why he's here. But let's be real. Guy can't play defense. Okay. So you're not bringing any value there. So throw out the Anthony Rizzo garbage that you were just spewing a couple of minutes ago. And he's getting older. I mean, he didn't have the same season he did last year. He still hits the ball hard, but he's going to give you what he's going to give you. And that's 28 homers, close to 30 homers, a 270-ish average with a 340, 350 on base. And just believe it or not, I think there's 9 other first basemen that can give you better offensive value than that with better defense. That's just what I don't think he's a bad player. I just think there are 9 other first basemen that will have better seasons this year.
I know I agree with what you're saying, the defensive aspect of it. That is correct. I think he's going to be a guy you're going to see just primarily starting as a DH. I know he had
DHs on that team, Sean. A lot of DHs on that team.
That's true. He has improved his defense over the years, though. Am I wrong?
So as far as last year, he was one of the worst defenders, but maybe he did improve. He got better.
Yeah,
I don't.
I'm wrong there. Anyway, he's going to be much higher up on my list. I will just give you that. But you listen to me talk about Rizzo, and I'm listening to you talk about Aguilar being your. Or not Aguilar. I just slipped. That's my next guy, Jesus Aguilar.
Jesus, baby.
Well, yeah, I was gonna have a whole build up, but anyway, Jesus Aguilar is my next guy, my ninth rated player. I really had a whole build up. I really did. I looked at my list and saw Aguilar instead of Abreu.
It happens, babe. Yeah, I wouldn't even get upset
about it. Well, since the cat's out of the bag, let me read you his stat line. First of all, the guy's been a journeyman. Started with Cleveland back in 14, Milwaukee 17, 18, Tampa Bay 19, and the Marlins the past 2 years. He has so much potential on the offensive side of the game. Great pop, clutch hitter. In 2018, his only All-Star year, 108 RBIs, 35 home runs, 274 slash line. Then fell off a cliff the next year with 50 RBIs and 12 home runs with a 236 average. So he fluctuates. He's not a very consistent player, which is why I think he ranks a little bit lower for me. Probably not even on your list if I had to guess, although I hope he is. But last year in his age 31 season, he had a slash line of 261 batting average. Not awful, for first base. 93 ribbies, 22 home runs, and struck out less than 100 times, 93 strikeouts. Given it was 131 games, but still, he's a guy who gives you a lot of pop. He was leading the National League in RBIs for most of the year on a team that didn't score a lot of runs, which go figure that one out. And he really when he's on, he's on. He could be miserable next year for all I know. But based off last year's season he gave us, and what I think he can do next year, especially with the DH coming into the National League, he can kind of just focus on the hitting aspect of the game. Plus, he's a great clubhouse guy. Every time he hits a home run, they show him the dugout. He gives a little look to the camera. I forget the little thing he does, but I know he's got one of those. I know Jazz Chisholm loves him. A lot of other players in the Marlins love him. He's a really good clubhouse guy, and that was one of the guys the Marlins wanted to get to help build their clubhouse culture. After getting rid of Stanton, Yelich, Real Muto, those guys, they wanted to kind of build from the ground up, and they kind of got him off the scrap heap. And he not a great defender, but I think he's got a really good offensive side of the game. Good, what I'm trying to say. I can't speak today.
I hear you.
But he's my number 9, Jesus Aguilar.
He didn't make my list.
That's what I like to hear.
Listen, guys, this is it. We feel like we think the same way, and then we come out and everyone's just shocked and pissed at every selection we make.
Yeah.
So I love Jesus, especially that one year. I guess he was with Milwaukee, right, when he went off for the first half of the season. The amount of homers he hit off Clayton, and one of the only times I didn't mind, because it was just, he's fun to watch. He's a fun player. He is a clubhouse guy, and it's cool. It seems like our lists are going 2 different ways. I'm getting players that are good, and Sean's picking players that he wants to be going to dinner with after they retire.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
It really is beautiful.
Not get ahead of ourselves here.
But I do love Jesus. He certainly could have another breakout year next year. I just don't have him on mine. I'm not making that bet. that guy is. Okay, so when he doesn't pan out,
That's an oversight on your behalf. That's all I'm gonna say.
it's an oversight on my behalf. Going to my number 9. Okay, now I feel like I got to prove that every guy's better than Jose Abreu going forward. It is Josh Bell. Okay,
Really?
it is.
Didn't even make my list. Wow.
Well, you're gonna be sad at the end of this year. You're gonna be sad because I'll tell you one thing.
I mean,
I think the breakout in 2019 was real. I think he quietly vindicated that season. Okay, he's never gonna hit 37 home runs again, but everyone had 10 plus inflated home runs that season because of the ball. But he came back this year after just a beauty. We're talking 226, 305 in 57 games in 2020. He gets to a new scenery in Washington, and he hit 261 with a 347 on base and 27 homers in 144 games.
Yeah.
So if you look at 2019, it was 277, 367. He basically came back and did what he did. The expected data, frankly, had him at closer to a 280 batting average and a little bit higher of a slugging percentage as well than what he put out. So I think he very slightly underperformed. And given that, based on his numbers, I think he's going to be around a 30 homer guy. I have him sitting at 32 homers, because he also got better as the season went on. His last couple months were much better than his first couple months, which I think is more sustainable for him. And the data showed that. I have him at 32 bombs with a 272 and a 352 on base, which really is not much different than what he did last year, except for 5 more bombs, because I'm expecting him to play 150. And that is a little bit better than Jose Abreu. And obviously, maybe not obviously, he has actually really decent defense. Josh Bell was surprising to me because you think of him as a really big guy. He had fairly decent defensive metrics, enough to get a 3 on the scoreboard for defense and leadership. So I'm big on Josh Bell this year. I think he's a little bit of a sleeper.
You know, when the Nationals made that trade for him, I thought that was a good move because they got him at the low end of the market. Because obviously the year prior he was an MVP candidate in the National League.
Right.
I like you picking him there. I did consider him for a little while. I got to be honest there. For whatever reason, he just didn't really strike my fancy. I guess Jesus and Anthony Rizzo really did that.
I hear you.
But I do like that pick by you, and I do think he's going to rebound because he showed what he can do. And even the year before his breakout years, he still had solid seasons.
Right.
So he's a good player. And the defensive aspect of it, I agree with you. He's very underrated in that. I didn't realize how good of or not how good. I always viewed him as a bad defender. I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. You realize how average of a defender he was.
Exactly. So I like that pick for you. I really do.
And he ain't doing this.
No.
Nobody's doing
no one
that.
can. G-Man Choi is G-Man Choi.
That's it. Elite.
So number 8 for me is a guy you had mentioned who didn't make. He made your list of just missing. Yuli Gurriel. The man has the tallest hair in all of baseball. Yep, exactly. Dare I say underrated? I say that very often, but I think he's underrated. He is 37 years old. In this past season, at least, he defected from Cuba in 2016 at 32 years old, so he got a little bit of a later start. But this past year, he hit 319 batting average. You know that we love good batting averages, high batting averages here on the 10th inning. We're old school guys. Strikeouts less than 100 at 68. 68 strikeouts in 530 at bats, 143 games. 81 RBIs. 15 home runs. You know, you'd love to see the home runs a little bit higher, but he's still driving in 81 runs with limited power, which is impressive. Also, what should be noted is this still Minute Maid Park in Houston?
I couldn't tell you.
Whatever it is now is a small bandbox of a place, and to only have 15 home runs is a bit surprising. I thought he would have had more than that because right and left field are not very deep. But get back to what I was saying. 59 walks and an OPS of 846, not too shabby. He's a guy who always hits for average. The only time he hit poor average was 232 in the 2020 season, and that was 57 games. So that really doesn't count. The defense is an issue. That is very much an issue, which is you addressed before. I agree. I guess you could say I was valuing more offensive or weighting it heavier than defense throughout this rankings for whatever reason. But I think Yuli Gurriel is a solid player, and I think he deserves to be in the top 10 of the first baseman conversation at number 8 for me.
I hear you. I think I have him winning the first base batting title crown again this year. I do. He's going to hit. Maybe not. Actually, my number 1 first baseman I think is going to overtake him, but like literally the second best average as far as first baseman kind of into this year. He's got a good on base as well. Like you said, he doesn't strike out. He puts the ball in play. All he does is make contact. He just doesn't make crazy hard contact. I think the 15 is pretty much what he's going to be at. I have him at 14 this year, and he's a little bit older with shoddier defense. I think if he had 20 bombs, he'd make like such a big jump for me, but I think that number in my head just really had me stuck.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he come to the U.S. as a third baseman?
I believe he did. Yeah, I believe I remember that happening. So he's kind of just thrown in there at first, and God bless.
Yeah, he can hit.
He can hit. That's all you got to say is he can hit. At this point in the programming, we're going to do a couple things. First of which, I'm going to shout out a guy named Luke Voigt. I didn't put him at the other shout outs. I gave him a slash line. I didn't rank him because it's unfair to do it at this point in time. The Yankees have yet again taken another amazing player and ruined their career. I don't even know where I would rank him. I'm going to tell you slash line what I feel that he would get if they were given just a regular season. It would be 32 homers with a 275 and a 350. That sounds almost identical to Josh Bell, if you remember what I said for Josh Bell. So I do think he would be basically a 9 or 10 first baseman, but I can't because there's a shot like Miguel Andujar. He is one season prior almost the MVP, best player on the team, and then thereon after they decide not to ever play them again. It seems to be the Yankees' MO. They have a player that wins almost MVP or Rookie of the Year, hits 50 doubles, maybe 20 homers in 60 games, something silly like that. And then they say, you know what, I think we're going to move away from this. This isn't good. I'm upset about it. Now for me to make everybody else upset, my actual number 8. Guys, listen. Okay, I went into this and I was like, I didn't know. It's really been opened up to me the last couple of weeks. I have an aversion to Oakland Athletics. I do. I don't know what it is. I'm sorry about it. And I went in with an open mind about Matt Olson, and I came out with a worse result than I thought. I'm just going to be frank with you. He almost didn't make the top 10. Okay? Wow. He almost didn't. If I liked CJ Cron a little bit more and gave Luke a spot, Matt Olson might not even be here, folks. But I have him at number 8. I do think he is number 6 for fantasy, if that gives anybody anything. Listen, I think he's going to hit 37 homers. I think he hits 2 less home runs. Okay, I think he's going to hit 259. If he breaks the 260 mark again, I'd be shocked. And I think he's going to have a 359 on base, very close to 360. I like the on base at 360. He walks a little bit, but the strikeout rate decreasing from what it was is not sustainable. The numbers don't back it up. His contact rate was so much higher, and there wasn't any reason for it. Maybe I'm wrong and I'm not seeing something. I'm trying to pull up the stats now just to tell you how drastic of a difference it was, because he had like 270 last year. If this guy ever hits above 260 again, I would be floored. I think he's got power, but his slugging last year was 540. His expected was 507. I don't think he's ever going to hit 39 again. I think he's probably going to hit 37, which is still probably top 2 or 3 homers for first baseman. He cut his strikeout rate, Sean. Just to be frank,
That's
with you.
good.
His walk rate stayed the same at about 13, which I think is really impressive. His strikeout rate went from 31% to 16.8.
That's
right?
a big decline.
That is cut in half.
Yeah.
But based on other numbers that I forget that I read, and I read plenty of articles, because I'm like, why? It seemed to be some luck involved with that, where he was just making some contact, hoping and praying. I mean, obviously, there's definitely an improvement. You can't cut it that much without an improvement. But I think it normalizes back up to 20, 25% or 22%, which then cuts down on the home runs by a couple, and certainly cuts down on the average by 10 points at least, as well as the on base. And for him to be a top 5 first baseman, he needs to have the exact year he had last year. And I cannot imagine him doing that again.
Yeah, I have him on my list. He's a little bit higher. But if you look at the stats at the surface, you would say top 3. RBIs, home runs, all that. But as you've done some digging, and I also saw some stuff where people were kind of a lot of fantasy rankings of this upcoming season as well as last about how he does get lucky for whatever reason. So folks, he's not just pulling this out of his ass. He's legitimately saying this. Dan is giving us facts. Just wanted to make sure everybody was aware. But yeah, no, he's on my list, but he's a little bit farther up. But he's another one of those guys who we don't hear tons about here on the East Coast.
Yeah,
I'm sure out west you'll hear a lot more about him because DAs are fairly, big team, fan base, and all that. But you got to imagine he's gonna be traded in the next couple of years.
Oh yeah, for sure. One more good season, he's on.
Him and Matt Chapman will be packaged. Absolutely. If you just let me pause for 1 second, I get a little water, a little dry throat,
I'm gonna let you pause. I'm gonna give you my number 7. I'm gonna go back to back on you. Is what I'm gonna do.
All right, go for it.
So for my number 7, guys, I'm gonna have a man who I wish I had the video still. If I have the video, I'm inserting it right here. I called this. Okay, I called my shot last year. I didn't draft him, although I said on my fantasy rankings, must draft. You must draft him, Joey Votto. Okay, there was 3 or 4 articles that came out, and like audio clips about him saying, I'm taking a completely different approach. Seemingly, I'm not a genius. It seemingly went over the head of every fantasy guru guy. No one was talking about Joey Votto. Everyone's like, oh, he's declining. Don't even look at him. He's like, not in a thing. I'm like, do you not hear what he just said? He just said he's going to completely change his swing. And maybe people say that all the time and they just didn't give any credence to it. But this isn't this is Joey Votto. This is one of the best hitters of our generation. To me, it was if Joey Votto wants to fucking do something, he's just going to do it. The reason he has the OBP king is because he's not a guy that's a pure baseball hitter that goes up there and just fucking hits. He has a game plan. He's a very strategic, cerebral player. So he is doing things intentionally. So when I'm hearing I'm intentionally changing my swing, I'm going to give up a couple of points in average, and I'm going to try this whole power thing out that is seemingly working for every other player, finally, that he was so against for so long, which is why he was declining. And people even said it, he hits the ball on the ground too much. I'm like, well, I'm in on this. This is still one of the best hitters in the league. It's Joey F. Votto. And I mean, did the man break out or what? Didn't draft him, which is really on my part. But I had other players. I ended up getting Muncy in both of my leagues, so I didn't need him. But if I missed on Muncy, he was literally going to be my starting first baseman in regular fantasy. I just didn't have to come to that. He might even have been better than Muncy. I don't even know. I don't think so. Muncy had a wonderful year. Anyway, I have him 8th for fantasy purposes. 7th in real life. Listen, the defense isn't great, but leadership is number 1. It's top notch. You're right up there with Anthony Rizzo. You're not going to get a better leader than Joey Votto. I mean, he's comical. He's an amazing leader. He's so cerebral. I mean, the amount of stuff that you could learn from him as a young player coming up, I can't even imagine.
He's Canadian.
They're so nice. And I'll leave you with the slash line. I think he's going to hit 35 bombs. God, it's nice to say that about Joey Votto again. It really is. 35 bombs with a 265, one of the lowest averages you've ever seen out of Joseph, but a 375 on base. The guy's still the on-base king. I think his 400-plus on-base days are over. I think he's giving that up for the pop. But for 35 homers, and he's decreasing his on-base by over 25 points. And he's still going to be one of the highest on-base guys in the league with a 375. Give me Joey Votto.
You covered that beautifully. I don't really know what else to say. He's actually on my list higher up, and he's tied. I have a tie at a position.
Okay.
Yeah, I had 11 guys, and I couldn't really squeeze them into 10, so I ended up having a tie.
This guy's talking to me about Jose Abreu who had 10, and he's cheating. I can't even believe it. Oh. It was that important for you to keep Anthony Rizzo on the goddamn list that you had to put 11. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Go ahead, give me number 7, Sean. You
number 7 for me. Another one you might not like. First baseman for the New York Mets, Pete Alonso.
Okay.
Number 7 here. I'm sure I am biased, playing for the Mets and all, but he is one of the best pure power hitters in all of baseball. He has improved his defense quite a bit. I mean, that was the knock on him coming up through the minors, was he couldn't play defense, and I haven't noticed any sort of defensive deficiencies at first base whatsoever. And I've watched him play, past 2.5 years every day at first. I'll tell you his stat line here, but before talking the stat line, as far as clubhouse guys go, he is about as good as they come. He is super positive, almost to the point, almost a detriment, playing in New York, being so positive. He keeps talking all the time. People are like, all right, can you just shut up at this point? But really positive guy. Always faces the media. Goes 0 for 4, has a horrible game. He owns it. The players love him. He's always got a smile on the field. He embraces the fans. He's kind of what you would envision your franchise cornerstone player to be. Not saying he is that for the Mets, but he has the qualities of one. His slash line for the last year, 262 batting average, which is about what you'd expect from him. 94 RBIs, which you'd like to see that get right up to 100 for a nice round number, but still good. 37 home runs, 60 walks to 127 strikeouts, and an OPS of 863. 127 strikeouts is definitely a higher number, but compared to his rookie year in 2019, where he struck out 183 times, that is a fairly good decrease. 2020 was not a good year for him, but it was 2020. We don't have to go over that one again. But I think he's trending in the right direction. He is very much a hard worker. He's going to be 27 next year. He's still young. The sky's the limit for him. He's got insane power. Something I would like to see him correct is he's a very streaky hitter. He'll go through slumps where he doesn't look like he could hit, a beach ball coming at him. And then he'll go through streaks where he'll knock off 4 home runs in 3 games. So you like to see him get – what was that?
Ryan Howard-esque to a degree.
Yes, absolutely. I'd like to see the strikeouts to continue to decline and the average to go up a little bit, but I also don't want the average going up to lower the home runs, kind of like an inverse of Joey Votto. Because their players have rules. If they get hit for an average, that's their role. If they hit power, that's their role. Don't try and cross over. If you're good at one thing, stay at that. So I think Pete Alonso has shown he can handle New York, which isn't easy. Just ask Francisco Lindor. And I think that he's just going to keep getting better and better. So that's what I have for Pete.
Yeah, I'm not as upset with that as you'd imagine. I'm not going to comment. I do think you're wrong about one thing you said, and I'm going to tell you what I think when I bring him up.
Oh, he made your list, huh?
Oh, he did make my list. And
you ranked him higher than I did.
It seems as I think you were a little bit too nervous about being biased.
Yeah, potentially.
Do you want to – is number 6 where you have your tie?
Actually, I have my tie at number 4.
Okay, then we'll stay on schedule. I'll let you go number 6. I just did 2 in a row. You go 2 in a row.
Number 6, Matt Olson.
Listen, he's not a top 5 first baseman in real life, folks.
Maybe he's not a top 5 first baseman. I think you might have corrupted me because going into this, I thought he was top 4. I really did. But just to echo everything you had said, there is some concern that his numbers will decrease with the luck coming back down to earth, I guess you could say. But I will say this. He's a guy who gets shifted quite a bit. If there is a limit on shifts in the future, those numbers could really go up because, that got two guys on the right side of the infield makes a big difference as opposed to four. So
that is a good call there, babe, because he hits the ball hard. It's not like he doesn't hit the ball hard.
He does.
But he doesn't have a lot of back control.
Call me crazy. He reminds me of Adam LaRoche.
I hear you. He almost reminds me of Adam Dunn. I mean,
oh, wow.
He doesn't
talk about all or nothing.
Olson, he's a little bit better than Adam Dunn for sure. But power-wise, don't get it mistaken. Olson has some of the best power in the game. Like he has pop for days. But yeah, we've already outlined why we don't think he's top 5. Getting into my number 6, I think you're going to be shocked, unless you know where this trend has been the last couple of years for me. You also might not even make your list, which I love. We'll always have top 5 guys that don't make each other's list. So for many years, I thought this guy was just the scum of the league. I was like, I don't know how they keep running this guy out there. Like, he is so bad at the sport. Like, how do they keep playing him? And all of a sudden, I now think he's borderline a top 5 first baseman. He's number 6 for me here. I was crazy high on him last year. He had a lot of injuries this year, so he didn't really get to pan out. But he figured something out in 2020 in the short season, and I bought in. I bought in hard. And he did the same thing this year. It's just he was injured a lot. So, if you're looking for a sleeper, I don't know where the ADPs are right now. I haven't really looked. But if this guy's a sleeper, take a look at my guy Brandon Belt. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Let me ask you a question, Sean.
Yeah.
Brandon Belt played 97 games last year. Okay? 97.
Mm-hmm.
How many homers did he hit?
15.
He hit 29 homers last year, Sean.
Wow.
Does that change your thought right now a little bit? A little bit.
I'm thinking maybe I should have looked a little closer at him.
That's all I'm going to say. Okay, but let's get into it. So, when you look at like his StatCast data, like his Baseball Savant data from 2017 to like now or the last couple of years, it's two different hitters. He is 100%. Now, do we have? I'm going to time out on myself here. I knew we were gonna have a surprise, but it just comes in so crazy. From the New York Knicks, is this RJ Barrett?
I only wish, but that's not me. I'm more of a Ron Baker kind of guy,
okay.
Which of course ends up out of the league because he's not good enough. So that's more of a indicative comparison for me.
I love you, no matter who you feel that you.
I love you too, Dan. Love you too.
I feel like we got to give him an intro here,
Yeah, no, like 100%. Sean, you take it away.
This man here, this is the first guest we've had that's related to one of us. This is my brother, Kyle. He figured he'd hop on here. He wanted to kind of get involved with this first baseman debate, and I'm looking forward to hearing his list. I know sure as hell he wouldn't have Gary Sanchez on his top 10. Leif, that's a shot right at you. So welcome to the pod.
Thank you very much. Very happy to be here. We all know the reason I wanted to come up for the first baseman one is because I got to talk about Max Muncy, also known as Daniel Vario. So.
It's doppelganger.
It's great, Kyle. He hasn't been mentioned yet. Either Sean really hates Max Muncy, and I'm going to find out later and have a harsh combo with him, or he's still in that top 5.
We're on 6 right now, right?
We are on. I'm giving my 6th player right now.
All right. So you want to give your 6, and then Kyle could give his quick 10 to 6 after you give yours?
Does that work, Kyle?
Yeah, it couldn't be better.
Perfect. Okay. So what I was saying with Brandon Belt, look at the data from 2017 and before, piece of garbage. Okay. But he's just completely changed his freaking career around. He did something different. He made his change in his swing. We've seen this happen before. What did you say?
Like Votto?
I don't think it's like Votto. I think it's more like, you're gonna hate this. I think it's more like the change Christian Yelich made. And Christian Yelich was never a bad player, but he
Yeah.
was never Christian Yelich. Okay. And sometimes Belt's always had a highly touted aspect to him, which is why I guess he got playing time for so many years until he worked out. I think all he needed was like some kind of mental switch. We're like, oh, okay, I get it. He's hitting the ball in the air now. I mean, his expecting batting average for the last couple of years was like 287. I'm almost a 600 expected slugging. Last year he slugged 597, 29 bombs in 97 games, Sean, hitting 274. His walk rate is among the top in the league, top 10 in the league. It's over 13%. His strikeout rate did jump last year, which is a little bit concerning. But his contact percentage is almost is X weighted on base contact is almost at 50%, 473. It doesn't mean a lot to some people, but he's basically his on base percentage is around 400 expected. So I'm telling you, the breakout's legit. I'm buying shares, and my expected slat line for him in a full year, I do think there's injury risk. 29 homers in 97 games, unsustainable, but more sustainable than you think. I got him at 34 homers, 272 with a 375 on base. Very similar to Joey Votto numbers with a little bit higher average upside. And I do think there's upside there. I think there's upside with homers. And as far as defense and leadership, I think he's like an average. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But he's fairly decent defensively as well.
Now, was part of the reason you thought he was so bad because he was on the Giants?
I mean, Clayton just carved. I mean, a lefty curveball to Brandon Belt, lefty slider. It wasn't working, you know. So
Yeah.
There was a streak with Brandon and Kirsch. It was like the best hitter pitcher matchup Kirsch ever had, where like I think it was like 40 at bats in a row, and he had like 29, 30 strikeouts out of them.
That's pretty bad.
So, and since I watched all those starts, it didn't look pretty for Brandon.
Yeah. Well, I guess before Kyle gives his, we should just rerun through ours real quick,
Sure.
so he knows. All right. So you want me to go first?
Go for it.
All right. Number 10, we have Rizzo. Dan, I know you're still stewing about that one. Number 9, Jesus Aguilar. 2 picks that Dan didn't even have on his. Then 7, I got Yuli Gurriel. Wait, in my head, I think that was supposed to be 8. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Now, next I have Pete Alonso. And then the last one we've gotten to so far, I have Matt Olson.
And I had Jose Abreu at 10, Josh Bell at 9, Matt Olson at 8, Joey Votto at 7, and Brandon Belt at 6.
High on Votto, eh?
There it is.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
All right. Keep sleeping.
Interesting starts there, guys. I like that. Certainly disagree with some of those things, but there are some things that we have similar thoughts on. Do you guys want me to share my 10 through 6 here?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
All right. Number 10, I'm working with Paul Goldschmidt.
Oh.
Number 9, Brandon Belt.
Okay. Hey, listen, made a list.
Number 8, Ty France.
Okay.
Number 7, Jesus Aguilar, stud.
Yeah, Jesus.
Gotta like
And number 6, I got Matt Olson.
Matt Olson does not make a top 5 today, guys. I think I won. I don't know.
That makes you happy.
I don't care what happens.
You got a personal vendetta against anybody in Oakland.
I think I won the podcast. I really do.
Oh God. Well,
Any qualms?
No qualms.
I don't think I have any qualms. I
Cool.
really don't.
Goldschmidt at 10. I'm gonna have a little bit of a qualm with.
Well,
Okay. Air it out. Let's hear it.
My number 5 is Paul Goldschmidt, actually.
And air it out there, Sean. Go for it.
Well, let me just pull up his numbers here. I know he had a very much a bounce back year last year because he kind of struggled a little bit with their transition from Arizona to St. Louis. I feel like underrated player throughout his career so far. And yes, I am stalling trying to pull up these numbers. All right. So last year in 2021, had a batting average of 294. He's always been a guy who hits for high average, career 293 hitter. Strikeouts are 136, a bit high, but we can deal with that. 99 RBIs, 31 bombs, not too shabby. An OPS of 879. Guy's consistent. Even though I said he had some down years with the Cardinals, the guy still hit 304 in 2020. I know, shortened season, but 260 in this first year in St. Louis, and had 97 RBIs and 34 bombs that year. So the guy just hits. He's also an outstanding defender. I'm not sure how many Gold Gloves he's won. He's won multiple. 4 Gold Gloves, 6-time All-Star and 4-time Silver Slugger. Thank you, Baseball Reference. Really just a model of consistency over first base. He's on a good team with the Cardinals. A lot of protection in that lineup. And I think he's just going to keep on chugging along.
I like it. I like it very much. So that gets the top 5 going. I guess we'll have Kyle be the caboose now. I'll stay number 2. In my 5th ranked first baseman, Sean, I think you have a little underrated. I'll start it off by saying I think the one thing you did get wrong in your analysis was that he is the cornerstone and franchise player for your team. Maybe not completely with production on the field, but certainly with personality. I mean, that's the Mets. That's the guy. He embraces New York. He is New York. He looked like he was on 17 different drugs at the home run derby. Everyone seemed very afraid. I think other people were like, we're not going to try anymore. Let's just let him have it because bad things could happen if he doesn't win. It was frightening to watch even on television. And
definitely on some uppers. He had to be.
That is Pete Alonso. I have him 5th in real life, 5th for fantasy as well. The guy showed the power was real. Listen, when you debut in 2019, you hit 53 homers. People are like, well, now we don't know what that means because of the balls. He came out in 2020 and hit 16, good pace, right? But the average just fucking took a nosy, a 231, and the on base took a nosedive. Is this guy legit? We don't know. He comes out, plays another full season with 27 doubles, almost 40 bombs, 100 RBIs. Cuts his strikeout rate, I mean, tremendously from what he did in 2019, which completely bounced back the average and on base. I think the guys are a real deal. And I honestly, looking at his numbers, I think he underperformed, especially in the power department. His slugging was only 520, and his expected slugging was almost 550. I think he almost is the opposite of Matt Olson in a way. Yeah. I think this guy hits 42 bombs this year. I think he's back over the 40 clip with a 265 average, which stays stable, and a 350 on base with amazing leadership. And like Sean said, much improved defense. For me, that's a top 5 first baseman all day. And I think after this year, he could even be even higher.
Imagine if he didn't play at Citi Field.
Imagine. For the Mets, really, it's the organization.
Yeah, that's true.
Has a way of bringing everyone down.
Max.
Am I up now?
You're up, babe.
Okay, I'm rolling number 5 here, Max Muncy. Also known as Dan Vario. He, listen, this guy doesn't bat for a great average. He popped off for 249 last year. 2020 was a rough go of it, 58 games, batting 192 on the interstate. But I think that, he's the guy for the Dodgers, sort of that presence in the lineup that you got to have. And especially with some guys that are getting a little bit older, Justin Turner, I don't really know how long he's going to be doing his thing. You need Max Muncy. You need a guy with a beard who's going to be able to hit some bombs. And I have a tremendous faith in Max Muncy. I think he can definitely put up 100 RBIs. He's going to hover right around that 30 home run mark. Last year, hit 36. So he's going to be up around there. Hasn't gotten to 100 RBIs in a season yet. I think this next year is going to be the year for him. And I think this is sort of going to be the beginning of Muncy elevating his game, getting to a nice 3-4 year prime, and becoming a real conversation for one of the best first basemen in the league. So I've got him here at number 5. I think he's a player that's going to be on the rise after that fluke of a 2020 season. So watch out for him.
I like it. Obviously, I'll speak more later on. Sean, you might have to speak soon about him, I would imagine.
Or just not at all. I don't know.
Go for 4, Sean. Go
I
for
think
4.
Sean's got him at 1. I got a feeling.
No comment. Number 4, I got my tie. 2 guys already previously mentioned, Jose Abreu and Joey Votto. Joey Votto, I think you very eloquently put it with him. He's changed his swing, adopted more of a launch angle type.
Joey Votto's garbage.
Wow. All right. Hot takes are flying here, folks. Wow. Anyway, back to Jose Abreu, Dan. I feel like you kind of undershot him a little bit. I mean, he is the linchpin in that lineup. He not much better hitter, clutch hitter. His defense could be better. I do agree. But I feel like we keep talking about the White Sox, like their players. Like last week was Yasmani Grandal. This week, Abreu. They have a bright future ahead. And I think you just underestimated Jose Abreu's value on the offensive side of the game. I really do.
Listen, I feel I accurately reflected his value. I just think that there are more so guys that are going to be better than him, but I don't think he's a bad option. I still had him at 30 bombs with a 275. I just think
you're a racist. That's why you had him so high. That's the only possible.
Well, my top 5,
not in the top 5.
My top 5 is probably not going to help. We started off with Pete Alonso. Number 4, we are going to go with, believe it or not, I might not have him highest on my list, and I don't. It's Max Muncy. I have him at 4th in real life. I have him at 3rd for fantasy. So I do think he's a top 3 fantasy player. Real life, I think he takes a little bit of a hit, and that's just because of how good the top 3 is, in my opinion. But again, I'll say it, I've said it a million times. Just look at the advanced metrics. This guy is literally one of the top hitters in baseball, period. His expected slugging was almost 600. You've heard me talk about 500 a lot. It was 581. Okay, the guy just absolutely mashes. Everyone knows he walks. He's an on-base king. All he does is draw walks. He's basically what Joey Votto is attempting to become. He hit 36 homers in 144 games. Stable, by the way. He's hit in his last 3 full seasons. He's hit full, by the way. It's 130, 140, and 140. It's 35, 35, 36. The man just does what he does. His on base has been 394, 380, 370 in those 3 seasons. You're going to get close to 40 homers and close to a 375 on base percentage with decent doubles. Obviously, he's not going to get a crazy amount of RBIs because of the lineup. Everybody's getting RBIs, and he's going to walk very similarly to his strikeout number. Strikeout to walk is going to be amazing. With great leadership, filthy defense, by the way, underrated. Got a score of 1. Was the best defender at first base last year, and I think is a top 3 leader at first base as far as leadership. We've seen how passionate he is on the field with his homers against Bumgarner. I mean, one of the prettiest swings, too. He plays the game, and he loves to play. I think I'm almost underrating him by putting him at 4. And just to clear up the slash line, I have him at 36 homers, 262, 375. And I think that's as reasonable as it gets. I think that's pretty – you can't say he's going to do any better or worse than that.
The thing about Muncy is he kind of gives hope to all the fat guys out there, too.
That's right.
Like you and me, we could be in the leagues because Max Muncy is.
Oh, yeah.
And how many positions did Dave make Max play this year?
He played, I believe he played off the top of my head. I know he played first, second. I know he played third. I'm sure he caught a couple of innings. I think it was just first, second, and third. I'm sure I'm wrong. I'll check while you're doing things, but I'm sure I'm wrong. Kyle, go ahead with your number 4.
Number 4, I'm actually agreeing with Sean here. I've got Jose Abreu. As about as consistent of an RBI producer as you can get in this league. I mean, ever since he came in with the White Sox in 2014, he's had over 100 RBIs in every full season except for that 1 year 2018 where he had 78. This guy, I mean, he actually took a downturn in his average this past season. He went down to 261 while he hit 317 the year prior in the shortened season, 284 the year before that, 265, 304, 293, 290, 317. So I think that the average is going to come back up for him.
Well, he's old. Maybe he's old.
I just don't think so.
Okay. All right.
Listen. Let me talk here. Anyway,
You talking about Joey Votto? I gotta.
all right. Well, Joey Votto's trash. All right, Jose Abreu's not trash.
Oh, one of the best players of your effing generation.
All right, listen, brother. Listen. All right, I'd take Jeff McNeil over Joey Votto any day of the week.
Oh, wow.
Play more positions, more power. He doesn't walk as much. That's the only problem. Joey Votto walks his way to being in the conversation every year, one of the best players. He's just not. I'm not here for that. Anyway, Jose Abreu. Yeah, I mean, the guy, if he hits bombs, he drives in runs, slugging percentage through the roof. 617 in 2020. He actually took a bit of a dip last year, but that's kind of what I was thinking here. Is that last year his average went down, slugging took a hit, OPS as well. I think all those things are going to come back up next year, and that production's still going to be there because he still hit 30 home runs for 117 RBIs in what could be thought of as a down year. I think he's going to come back up and definitely deserves to be at the number 4 spot.
I agree.
I've already given my analysis.
All right. Well, my if I may start with my number 3.
Oh, I'm excited.
Max Muncy.
I like it.
Yeah. I mean, there's really not much else to say. I think you covered it pretty well. I guess one of the issues is, or actually, one of the not issues, the best thing he brings to the table is he was in a Super Bowl commercial, and he looks like you, Dan. I mean, need we say more?
And then I'll get someone top 3 these days. They really will.
But one of the things I would like to mention, what is with the Dodgers finding these guys? He started with Oakland in 15 and 16, barely hit above 200 one of the years and hit well below 200 the other year. Takes a year off in the majors, not a year off a year in the minors. Comes to the Dodgers, and immediately is an impact player. I like what do they put in the water at Chavez?
Steroids.
Probably steroids, yeah.
Probably steroids, but listen, we don't know about it. So what we don't know, we don't need to know.
That's right. Listen, Sean, it happens. All I got to tell you is it happens. Why do we care if it happens? All right.
All right. Okay. A-Rod was your favorite player growing up, so.
That is correct. The third time is what got me.
The third time you said no more.
So my number 3 guy, I was underrating him coming into it. I think people are still underrating. I think he's been underrated on the pod already today here. I don't know what this I can't think of the word, but the scuffle that people keep mentioning about this guy, I don't know where it's coming from, because I'm looking at the stats and it never really happened except for a little bit of a dip in average in his first year in a new ballpark. It's Paul Goldschmidt. It's Paul Goldschmidt all day. I used to be a big Paul Goldschmidt fan. I was kind of upset that I have him better than Max. I have him 4th for fantasy, 3rd for real life. The real life is definitely the other aspects that he brings to the game. For fantasy, certain things get weighed more heavily. So like he's not going to hit as many home runs as Max for me. But 294 average, 365 last year. And let's not talk about the bags coming back a little bit. 12 stolen bases, no caught stealings. That's a net.
Really?
12. That's a net 12. You haven't heard that yet in the first base rankings.
Wow.
That's a little bit of pizzazz on Paul Goldschmidt. I mean, let's not forget back in the day, he was like, he had stole 30 and 20 bags in like 3 or 4 years straight. He was doing it. That had gone away for a couple of years, but I mean, if he's attempting 12 bags and not getting caught, who's to say he's not going to try still?
Who's he running on? Gary Sanchez?
I don't know. That's what I didn't know he was 12-0 last year. But the guy is very consistent at close to a 400 on base percentage. He's pretty much a 30 homer guy. He's going to drive in 100 runs for you. He plays elite defense, like Sean said. The only one that was better defender than him last year was Max. Is a Gold Glove type defender and a leader, of course, more of a quiet guy, where I think Max is more, robust and out loud with his leadership. But there's different ways to be a leader. For the slash line, I got him at 32 bombs, a 290 average, and a 368 on base. I do think the on base is static at 365 like he did last year. So that has come down. Before he was closer to 400. So that's the only knock on him. His on base is a little bit lower now out of Arizona. But I mean, the guy does literally everything. I'm a big fan of Paulie Goldschmidt, first baseman in the league.
I like it.
Yeah, no, I'm probably undervalued him with my take. But there's a lot of guys I wanted to get into this list. So I think that certain people just for whatever reason sort of caught the tough end of the stick. Paul might have been one of those because I do agree with him. I think he's a really good player. But my number 3 here is Big Bad Pete Alonso. Listen, I mean, this guy is he's special. You know, he likes to do drugs and hit homers.
Yeah.
On a national stage, that's not true. It's just a joke.
Don't sue us, Pete, please.
Please don't sue us, Pete. I'm a big fan. But listen, all right, I think that Pete's a guy that can hit 270, 280. He hasn't reached that point yet, but his strikeout ratio is way down. I think he can hit 270 in this coming season. And when you add that to his power, I think 37 home runs that he hit last year, I think that's low. He can hit 40 easily with that kind of power. He's only getting better. The Mets have brought in a new hitting staff to try to help with certain things. I think that's going to be a big help. I don't even know. I think Buck Showalter is the manager. I think the whole Mets team is just going to be better off with this new change in leadership. And I think Pete's going to also benefit from that. I could see him hitting 40 home runs easy and 100 RBIs if he's around the whole year. He played 152 games last year. But he's a guy that he's durable. He could play 159, 160 games without too much stress there. And I think that'll be 100 RBIs for sure. And I think Pete's really gonna kick his game up. There's kind of 2 different career paths you could take after the offseason he had in 2020. The shortened season is sort of a lot of players that just kind of don't really dig themselves out of that. You know, because Pete, he hit 230 and had 16 home runs, 35 RBIs. Nothing really to write home about. But 2021 season, he showed that his talent was not just a flash in the pan. And I think that that's going to bode well for him. And I project him to have a big season. That's why he's coming in here at number 3.
I like it.
Yeah.
Sean, you're a Pete Alonso hater. Did you know that coming in?
I thought having him at 6 was like, oh, you're gonna be like, oh, you're a homer. So I may have undervalued him for that reason, but
I like it. Listen, you gotta go with your heart, Sean.
But I agree. Like, I think he has all the intangibles to be a star, especially in New York.
I mean, we all know who's number 1 for each one of us, right? I mean, it's Luke Voigt. We've got to just get that out of the way right now.
Luke Voigt.
Here's an honorable mention for Dan.
Really top 10, but a top 10 honorable mention just because of how bad New York management is.
All right, you want me to go for number 2, Dan? This one might hurt you.
Go for it.
The man you tried very hard to trade for, but probably will never be able to get out of my grasp. And I'm very glad that I drafted him. Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I thought everyone was gonna go Vladdy number 1. I like it.
No, I got some respect for my number 1 here.
You're racist. Yeah, no, we got you.
Listen, I didn't want to say it. But I think it's true.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. All right. Talk about being gypped of the MVP. I know Shohei won it. All right. He pitched and he hit. Great for him. All right. But
he's a gimmick.
I mean, listen. listen to these numbers before Dan has a heart attack. In 2021, all right, 311 batting average, 48 bombs, 111 RBIs, 110 strikeouts, which sad to say isn't that high in today's game. 86 walks and an OPS of over 1,000. I mean, and then an OBP of 401. Like, I know his defense isn't great, but that's, he'll be a DH before long. But at this moment in time, he's a first baseman. And he didn't really knock the cover off the ball when he first came up. I mean, he hit 272 his rookie year in 123 games. Then 262 in 2020 in 60 games. So he played every game that shortened season. But he wasn't exactly, setting the world on fire. And then this year, I mean, he just absolutely just lit it up. I mean, he had all the pressure. He lived up to it. And talk about the Toronto Blue Jay team is going to be a fun team to watch in the years upcoming. They have a lot of young talent, and they are going to be really good to watch, really fun to watch. But yeah, I some could argue he's number 1, and I think the only thing holding me back is this was just 1 year. If he had a longer track record, he'd be number one, I think. But the difference between 1 and 2 for me is very minimal. And I think Vladdy Jr. is probably going to be number one next year. But I mean, the man is just amazing.
I hear you. My 1 and 2 is a real struggle. Probably one of the biggest struggles. Probably the biggest struggle I had. I mean, let's just be frank about things. It's Freddie and Vlad, right? And there's two different kind of ways to think about it. Obviously, we take into account defense and leadership. And for that reason, Sean, I ended up agreeing with you. I think Vladdy's
really.
It was right at the end. I'm like, I just think if I'm a team, if I'm signing a player for 1 year this year to win a chip, I think I'm signing Freddie Freeman. But we'll get into that later. So real life, I had Vladdy at 2. In fantasy, Vladdy is number 1. Let us make no mistakes about that.
He's on my team.
I think he should be the first baseman off the board. I also think, given the numbers, he underperformed last year, which is actually nerve-wracking for the entire MLB.
Yeah.
I have him. I'm just going to read the slash line. Honestly, don't think I need to do much more. After I do that, I'll let Kyle speak. It is. I have him hitting 50. This is conservative for me. I have him hitting 50 home runs with a 295 average and a 385 on base. Again, his defense and leadership is a 5. He's 1 year removed of getting his life in shape. And I mean that literally, not metaphorically. As someone who's tried to lose weight many times, this is a difficult thing. So I would be concerned. I want to see how he looks after this offseason, because plenty of people have lost weight and then gained it right back. And I do think him being healthy last year, and I mean physically fit, really aided him in becoming the superstar that he was. So if he can keep that weight off and keep that mindset and not get lax after he just almost won MVP and, eat all the burritos back up or whatever he likes to eat. I know I like Chipotle. That's my go-to food. If he doesn't do that, he could be.
I think he's an enchilada guy. I don't know.
Enchilada? Okay, listen.
Actually, I think he's more. He likes plantains. He loves plantains.
Oh, Sean,
who doesn't? Who doesn't? That's not really fair. I mean, come on.
Go down to the Hivy.
Oh yeah.
Go down to the Hivy. Yeah. Get yourself
down to the Hivy. All right, listen, fellas. I agreed with you. I got Vladdy at number 2. I didn't think that was going to be the case.
Wow.
Y'all had Freeman at 1.
I like that.
Sean, we don't know who it is at number 1 yet.
That's true.
I don't know why you would try to speculate.
Actually, I have Dom number 1.
Well, you blew mine now.
Darren Ruff.
Jerk off, Jesus. Anyway, yeah, listen, he's disgusting. The guy will hit a bomb, every other game. He's knocking in runs like it's crazy. 86 walks, 110 strikeouts is a lot, but as Sean mentioned, is it really? And 311 batting average. The sky's the limit. And you mentioned it with the weight loss, Dan. I mean, if he's as physically fit as he was this past season, there's just nothing stopping him from absolutely being the MVP, which should be for the second year in a row. He was gypped, but yeah, I know you're not a fan of that. But listen, Guerrero at 2 is easy for me, and we'll let everybody get there around with good old Freddie.
I have the most important stat of Vladdy Jr. He had 4 stolen bases last year. 4.
How many caught?
1.
That's not bad, Sean.
Not bad at all. Dare I say we got a speedster on our hands.
And dare you say it, Sean. Dare you say it.
Who wants to tackle Freddie Freeman here?
I mean, Sean, you're technically first. Go for it, man.
Okay.
I don't think you could tackle him, to be quite honest with you.
You got a point.
I think he'd run right through you.
100%. You'd have to rip and turn. I mean, you'd have to do a lot of work on the legs.
Yeah, very fair.
Wow, accepting defeat so easy.
Come on, Sean. I don't know. This is your fucking podcast, Sean. He's a goddamn guest.
Exactly.
I think I could get him down after a little effort. I do.
Well, you could say, I'd give it my best run. We'll see if Freddie has a head afterwards.
Yeah, let's go right with that. I just don't want to tackle Freddie. I mean, even though he's a Brave, I love the guy. Well, maybe not a Brave. Who knows?
Oh, God. He's a Dodger. It's it for me in the Dodgers. And that's not because I don't love Freddie. Freddie's my top 5 favorite players in the league. I just can't imagine the Dodgers doing that again.
You know what's going to happen? The Yankees are going to sign Freddie Freeman and then re-sign Anthony Rizzo. So they're going to have Rizzo, Voit, and Freeman all fighting for first base.
Because the Yankees are only good when Luke Voigt's complaining, whenever he goes. So
I think we're just going to throw Gallo at first and call it a day if we do that.
Stanton at second.
Well, I mean, if you're happy with 180 and 40 homers,
I am not. Mark, Draft Deck Mark, I'm calling you out here, bud. You are, and it's batshit crazy to me.
He's okay with that?
He had him like in his left field or right field rankings, like the number 2 left fielder in all of baseball.
Jesus.
Like over like guys like Starling Marte. Like it was a wild.
And he's a Mets fan too, Draft Deck.
I know. I don't know. He's also
disgusting.
I think they're friends. I don't know. He's a little homer.
Yeah. Anyway, Freddie Freeman last year, 159 games. He was injured for a little bit, I thought, but he still played in 159 games.
He got off to a really slow start. That's probably what
He did. He had a 300 even batting average, 85 walks, 107 strikeouts, 83 RBIs, 31 home runs. But as Dan said, he got out to a slow start, and boy, when he got hot, he was in fuego. Unbelievable. OPS 896. It's going to be higher than that next year. I mean, everything's going to be higher. Average higher. RBIs and home runs, no doubt, will be higher. I mean, the guy literally, I think at the All-Star break was hitting like 220, if I remember. 230, right around there. And finished hitting 300, was on an absolute tear, and also carried the Braves through the later half of the regular season and the postseason. I believe he was the MVP of the World Series. No, he was not. He was not the MVP. He was wrong one. MVP was Jorge Soler. But I think the sky, not to keep using the same word, the sky is the limit. I think Freddie Freeman, he's 31, is just going to keep getting better and better. He's been in the league since 2010, believe it or not. He's played 12 years and he's 31 years old. I mean, the guy has been, remember when he came up with Jason Hayward, those two guys?
Yeah.
Jay Hay, Chipper. I mean, they had some decent teams. Got the Upton brothers. But he stuck it out and won a championship for the Braves. So
he did.
Congrats to him. But yeah, I think he's an outstanding defender. I mean, he can't quite stretch like G-Man Choi behind you, Dan. But I mean, no one's G-Man Choi. No one is. But Freddie Freeman, great clubhouse guy, great son he has. He's the perfect package. He really is. You don't want anything more from him. You can't ask for anything more.
I hear you, Sean. How many times on this podcast have I said like top 5 or top 10 like pure hitters in baseball? Yeah. Probably 25. In my opinion, for the last 2 or 3 seasons, I've held this opinion before his MVP season. I was high on Freddie. I think he is the best pure hitter in baseball. Number 1. The guy just hits. That's all he does. He looked like Sean said, was terrible through the first couple months of the season. He hit 300, folks. He also got unlucky, had 2 shit months, and then hit 300. I mean, that's like batshit crazy. And especially for his swing path, which looks like he's golfing. He gets to every ball. He's not just a pull hitter. You really can't shift him. That's why he's hitting 300 as a lefty, is he sprays. His oppo power's just nasty. And really it came down to defense and leadership. He got a grade of 2 for me. For fantasy, I think he's number 2. I think he just got overtaken by Vladdy. But I do think you're safe picking Freeman over Vladdy. But I would pick Vladdy over Freeman in a fantasy league. The slash line I have for him is 34, 315 average with the 390 on base. I mean, he's giving you everything you'd ever ask for and more. Again, he's a leader, beautiful smile. Can we just speak about the smile for a little while? I mean, who's got a better smile than Freddie Freeman in the league? Great kid, too. You ever seen
Francisco Lindor's got a good smile.
I'll give you that. Have you ever seen Freddie Freeman's kid go yik yak in the backyard?
Yeah.
I mean,
isn't it Charlie? Isn't that his son's name?
I believe you're right with that. I do believe you're right.
Have you picked him in fantasy yet, Dan? I know you like to get him early. Have you picked him yet?
Guys, the draft hasn't came. Listen, I picked him early, and guess what? He was the best player. Okay, it worked out for me. I was right. A lot of times I'm not right, but I was right at that time. Won a championship with Freddie. Kyle, say what you got to say about Freddie if you got to say something.
Listen, man, Freddie Freeman. First of all, I love Freddie Freeman.
Everybody loves him.
And to
He's
be
a
quiet,
Mets
he's
fan.
probably the only Brave that I will ever say I love Freddie Freeman. He's an incredible player. He's got all the intangibles. You mentioned it. I mean, like, it's not just, the production you're putting at the plate, what you're doing on the field. And he's an excellent defender, as you mentioned, one of the best pure hitters in the league. But I think that his impact goes far beyond that. Clubhouse leadership, he took really was massive coming on in the second half there to put the Braves on his back with a few of the other players. I mean, they had Acuna out, they still won the title. That should say enough in of itself. And listen, he really deserved that championship, and I think that could be one of those things where kind of stabilizes him. You get to that high mountain. I think that confidence that comes with it, and a little bit of swagger. I think Freddie Freeman's a guy that can just use that to just consistently do what he's been doing. He's still young, for baseball in baseball terms. He's got some years left. I mean, if he puts up 4 or 5 more years like we've seen the past couple, near 300, close to 100 RBIs, 25, 30 home runs. I mean, you're looking at a Hall of Fame player. He's incredible, and deserves to be number one on this list. He's got everything, and just the cleft chin being hidden under that beautiful beard. It's unbelievable.
I did not think I was going to end today with 3 people being overtly racist. No, having Freddie Freeman at the number 1 spot, I'm actually happily surprised. I think that's the real lifeness for you, though. I mean, like Sean said, Vladdy's got 1 year. Like I said, he's had weight issues. Like Kyle said, he's had some defensive problems. And this is no slight on Vladdy. I think Vladdy's going to hit 50 fucking home runs this year. He's an absolute monster. But it's just the rock. There's just stability and consistency that you get from Freddie and all-around play that you can't win anything off of one asset or one ability. And again, not to say Vladdy only has one, he has many tools, but Freddie is just the whole package with personality and leadership, and that makes a good ball player. So it's fantastic to see that come together here on the pod. Really, here to the audience.
That was beautiful. That was our top 10 first base.
It was poetic. Everybody all getting the same guy, number 1.
That's right. It rarely happens here, Kyle. It normally ends.
Yeah.
I believe me.
You should have seen Leif last week. Ooh.
Oh, jeez.
We threw Gary Sanchez in the top 10, and we almost just ended it.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah. No, it was a serious problem.
Yeah.
I mean, next week, Sean, we're getting into second base. I don't know if I've told you we have another surprise guest. Have I told you?
No.
Oh, good. I'm not going to tell you. He'll just hop on.
Okay.
So we have another surprise guest. He may or may not have been on the pod before.
Savalo?
I'm not saying anything else. I said he may or may not have been on the pod before. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. Another surprise.
Very long list of guests we've had.
Listen, we've had 4 now. It could be Kyle. Kyle could be sitting there playing a
This could be a conspiracy here.
You got no. It could be Nate. I could be a special guest.
You certainly
throw a hat on, shave the beard. You're a new guy,
My sister's been in the background before. About that?
Yes.
You never know.
Clayton's been in every single one.
Clayton Kershaw could sit right here because he's going to retire. By the way, God bless Tom Brady. Nice to see you on your way out. Did you know Tom Brady retired?
It might not be. It might
allegedly.
Not be. The reports are saying it might.
And that's what I tweeted. I'm like, honestly, good riddance, bro, but I feel like you're going to do a Favre. I feel like Tom Brady's going to be in and out.
Maybe with the Jets.
10 years. I really do.
I just don't want to hear Tom Brady's name, like, ever. Like, why do every year it's just like, dude, just retire, bro.
Do something.
Don't
your
family want you to be home? Or like, come on.
So, I mean, God, think about how many times you can make out with him a week if you live there. I mean, Jesus.
I mean, yeah, his children will be terrified, but
yeah,
the football world will be happy.
Close this out, Sean. I don't want to think. I'm getting.
Yeah, I didn't know it's turned into the 10-yard line podcast here. But
Wait, hold on, Dan. What are we thinking about Dave?
About Dave?
Dable.
Oh.
The new
Brian
Giants
Dable.
Gable. I don't know. I don't know.
I want
don't-
Flores.
No,
You know what I think?
I need to
I think he's
see.
gone in 2 years.
I need to see
I know a lot of Bills fans who
two
didn't
more
like.
interviews prior to the Giants. I gotta watch them. Like I told Sean, it's about, especially with non-players. I gotta watch to see how they articulate and interact. I gotta see his football. I mean, who had a better football mind than Joe Judge? But I
Yeah.
mean that
He
obviously
won a press
didn't-
conference, that's for
didn't
sure.
work.
And he did a QB sneak on second and 9 and 3rd and 9. So
He wanted to get fired. I mean, let's be real.
I wouldn't want the job, Kyle. Would you want that job?
No, I think he was like, listen, I'm a much happier man on the doing anything but what I'm doing right now. Let's
Right.
QB sneak it. All right. Give me Jake Fromm, get out there and get a 1 yard push.
Yeah. Yet to be seen. I don't know. I think it doesn't matter who they throw out there. It's the New York Football Giants.
Listen, fellas, I do have one thing to say. You got to hammer the Bengals this weekend. Hammer. Money line, hammer 'em. I got 50 in right now to win 145. It's going to be a great investment when Joe Burrow takes us to the Super Bowl.
Joey B, you heard it here first, folks. You heard it.
Joe
Hammer 'em.
Shiesty, the man.
and by the way, Western New York still hasn't recovered from that game the other night.
That was incredible. That's the greatest football game I've ever watched.
That was wild.
I was rooting for the Bills, so it didn't end how I wanted it to.
Sorry, Sean.
Anyway, this has been episode 19 of the 10th Inning Podcast. Please like, subscribe, comment. Tell us our lists sucked. Tell us they were great. Tell us which Meyer brother you like better. Nah. All right. Leif, Saval, we're going to need people to come in my aid here, all right? Anyway, like, subscribe, comment. Give us your top 10 list. Let us know why Anthony Rizzo should have been ranked higher, you know?
Sean, that was this has been a Class A flub of a closing.
Kyle, I know you're the guest, babe, but he's always been Kyle's brother. Would you mind just coming on and just closing us out once and for all?
I would love to.
Please. We
All right,
might
listen.
just
This has been the 10th Inning Podcast. We all know what we get when we listen to this. You know, we get G-Man Choi's Thunder Quads. We get Dan's Single Pringle. We get Sean's layered beard. And to be quite honest with you, we get some great fun. Thank you very much for putting this on, fellas. I'm honored to be a guest here. And as the baseball season's coming around, you know, if the executives and the owners and the MLB would get together and get their fingers out of their ass, maybe we'd have a season coming. But just looking forward to some baseball. Thanks for letting me live out my GM dreams here, looking at first baseman.
Love it, babe. Get your fingers out of your ass and get ready for second base. We'll see you next week.